Description. The logistics scenario can be compared to a large board game. A manufacturing company, the plant, is depicted, which, for the sake of simplicity, only supplies one customer and only obtains its parts from one supplier. Of course, the logistics scenario is nowhere near the complexity of a company, but it is precisely because of this abstraction of reality that an insight into the essential processes of logistics is made possible within the duration of one day. Goals. One of the goals of the logistics scenario is to encourage the players to question and change processes. In order to ultimately be able to understand what these changes are doing in the company, the players should also recognize as a further goal what adjusting screws exist in logistics, and which of these adjustments need to be made in order to optimize logistics processes. For example, the throughput time or the setup time could be optimized, or bottlenecks. Machines. The company depicted manufactures a total of 14 machine variants, which are divided into standard and special machines. 2 individual parts, supplied by the supplier, are assembled in the factory pre-assembly into 4 different assemblies. These are assembled into the 14 machine variants mentioned above in the final assembly plant. A machine consists of 4 individual parts. Season. Around 80 machines are produced in about 40 orders per quarter. A total of 3 quarters will be played. A quarter consists of 10 weeks. After each quarter, the weekly tables that are available at the corresponding workstations are evaluated. In this way, it is determined whether the players in the company have managed well as a team. Likewise, after each quarter, the players have the opportunity to discuss the processes in the logistics scenario and to discuss change in the group. The change requests are selected because only the first 3 change requests are implemented. Whether the changes have a positive effect on profitability can be determined after evaluation of the following quarter. At this point, the other players can agree on changes again and implement them. At the end of the match day, i.e., after the 3rd quarter, the evaluation will again show whether the changes are economical. By the way, the profitability can be determined because in the logistics scenario, 3 types of costs are logged on the tables provided. Inventory costs. These are machines in warehouse and production lines, as well as inventory on the road. Transport costs, which are divided into external and internal transport costs and steering costs. Jobs. Each player sits at a workstation. In total, the logistics scenario consists of 10 workplaces, which will be briefly described at this point. Customer. The plant receives about 4 orders a week from the customer. On this order, the customer notes a desired delivery week on which the machines are to be delivered. Upon receipt of the ordered machines, the customer checks whether the desired date has been met and follows up accordingly. Supplier. The supplier delivers the goods, i.e., the black and white individual parts, by truck to the factory or to the incoming goods warehouse. How many individual parts are loaded onto the truck can be found in the purchasing orders. A die decides on delays to early deliveries and scrap every week. These situations occur in operational practice and can be simulated in this way. Plant purchasing orders, a corresponding number of individual parts from the supplier that are required for the manufacturing process of the machines ordered by the customer. Goods receipt. Plant goods receipt receives the delivery of the individual parts from the supplier and stores them. Factory pre-assembly. Pre-assembly makes use of the individual parts that are stored in the warehouse. In 3 production lines, a production plan that takes into account the customer's long-term needs is used to. An assembly is made from 2 individual parts. In a production line, a changeover may be necessary. This setup time is simulated with the help of a red setup stone. But beware, the supplier is also happy to deliver rejects. Production planning and control. contains internal orders from the internal sales department on which the delivery quantity and the delivery week are confirmed separately for standard and special machines. The maximum capacity of the production line, the setup time, and the production plan of the final assembly must be taken into account. Plant disassembly. Disassembly fills your flow rack warehouse with the assemblies from the pre-assembly production lines. Based on the production plan, which takes into account the long-term needs of the customer here as well as in pre-assembly, the machines are assembled in a production line. The internal orders from the PPS and the setup time simulated by means of red setup stones must be taken into account. Incidentally, special machines are built according to the make-to-order process, unlike the standard machines. Factory product warehouse. The finished machines are stored in the product warehouse. Based on the internal orders from the distribution warehouse, the machines are picked and delivered to the distribution warehouse by truck. The machines must leave the product warehouse in time so that the customer's desired delivery week can be met. Distribution warehouse. Based on customer orders, internal orders are issued for the product warehouse so that the corresponding machines are shipped to the distribution warehouse. In addition, the truck is loaded using customer orders provided by the sales department and, if possible, shipped to the customer in good time. If an order arrives late at the customer, the plant is threatened with a contractual penalty, which has a negative effect on profitability. The internal sales department receives the customer's orders and confirms the customer's desired delivery quantity and week, taking into account the internal throughput time for the standard and special machines. The customer orders are forwarded to the distribution warehouse so that the truck can be loaded accordingly. In addition, the internal sales department creates internal orders that are forwarded to production planning and control. Job description. Each player will find a job description at his or her workplace. Every week, this job description is worked through step by step. As soon as a new game week begins, and thus also the reappraisal of the individual steps, a gong sounds. It is important that this rhythm is adhered to, as the processes of the individual workplaces are intertwined. Job rotation. After 6 weeks of play, the workplace is swapped. Each player then moves up 2 places in the direction of the material flow. These were the most important facts about the logistics scenario. Take a look at the video on the material and information flows, as well as the individual workplace descriptions.